Guys will sometimes have this like intense eye contact during the day and they think it's like confident because they have this like strong and steady eye contact. And I'm like, no, bro, that's not normal. It's not how you'd be talking to a girl that you were friends with or even your girlfriend during the day. You'd be a lot more relaxed and you'd be engaging with the environment. Not accounting for context or relatability. This is a big one. So what are some examples? Approaching girls in an inopportune environment. So a dark street corner, under scaffolding, where she feels very claustrophobic and like trapped almost. A bridge, a dark parking lot. Some of these I would avoid altogether. Approaching in those kind of environments, and then on top of that, not being direct. So this is where making the best of this comes in. Not being verbally direct in your intention, like not letting the girl immediately know what's up. That's gonna really sketch the girl out, okay? You're in a fucking dark parking lot, or sometimes even in a parking lot in general. It's like, or on the street corner, right? Not letting her know what's up, not letting her know like, what are you up to in general? Like I always say, give the girl micro context and macro context. Micro meaning, what were you doing immediately before you approached the girl? And this is, by the way, during the day. At night, you don't have to do this. And then afterwards, at some point, letting her know, what are you generally up to? Are you just like approaching girls on the street? That's kind of weird for her to relate to. It's not relatable at all. Or are you just running some errands? Are you meeting a friend for lunch? Are you on your way, to a business lunch? Whatever. That gives her some context as to what you're doing. I had this student that he really struggled to be verbally direct during the day with girls. And then he would approach them, he would tell me how he'd approach them in like a parking lot. And he had poor social calibration, not the best vocal tonality. And on top of that, he wouldn't be direct with them. So he'd be like, hey, so I see you drive a Ford Taurus. Nice, how do you like it? How is that not gonna sketch the girl out? So this is, very important to account for the context.
Yo, quick announcement, my dude. Just want to briefly mention that over the last year, many guys have been asking me, how do you create chemistry with women? And this has sadly been exaggerated by the pandemic. That's right, I'm talking about that magic you see me create with the girls in my videos. So, I've decided to give away a super entertaining, uncut, infield bonus video showing exactly that. Just click on the link in the description below. By signing up, you're also joining the VIP list for our, wait for it, new course, Honest Chemistry, which will be released in the next couple of weeks and will teach you everything to do with creating chemistry from sexual tension to an amazing connection. This course has been more than a year in the making and I'm really excited to release it. So be sure to click the link in the description box or comment section below to get access to your bonus video today and stay in the loop. All right, now let's get back into it.
Look, similarly, getting flirtatious, sexual, aggressive at times that are inappropriate. Big no-no, big no-no. How you game a girl at a cafe, how you ease into it, or at a work party, is going to be different than how you do it at, at a nightclub or at some stages of your interactions at night. Sometimes guys will have eye contact that's too intense during the day, where they'll lean in too much, or they'll stand too close at inappropriate times. And this doesn't just apply during the day, this can happen at night or in any situation. It's just more pronounced in contexts where it's not, socially appropriate. It doesn't even make sense to be more intense or come on stronger, okay, be more aggressive, more sexual in those contexts, sooner than later. It just comes off sociopathic. Guys will sometimes have this like intense eye contact during the day and they think it's like confident because they have this like strong and steady eye contact. And I'm like, no, bro, that's not normal. It's not how you'd be talking to a girl that you were friends with or even your girlfriend during the day. You'd be a lot more relaxed and you'd be engaging with the environment. That's the kind of eye contact you have when you're like at a certain stage of the interaction and you're locking eyes and you're really looking into them and you're eye fucking her and you're seducing her and you're being more flirtatious and maybe more physical. There's a time and place for that, okay? Not at the fucking bookstore when you just met her. Same goes for physical touch. If you like some girl at work, you might not want to give her a massage prematurely when you're in the middle of a meeting with other people that are like looking at her and there's a lot of pressure, not to mention you might not have yet established a certain kind of frame with this girl. You're gonna creep her the fuck out. Another point here to think about is when you are out of place somewhere in some sense and you don't own it and you don't make light of it and you don't bridge the disconnect that's happening in the girl's mind, that can come off shady and creepy. So let's look at some examples. Not offering a certain kind of macro context, which I touched on earlier. Not, you're hitting on a girl, for example, during the day, and you're not letting her know what you're generally up to. It's like, sure, she finds it all admirable and ballsy that you approached her on the street during the day. It's like, whoa. But at the same time, she wants to understand how she can relate to what you're doing, how she can make sense of it. You don't want to come off as some kind of a sociopath in her eyes. So if you let her know, oh, I was just running some errands, I'm on my way to that business lunch, that gives her context as to what you're doing. And then you felt ballsy and in the moment, and you just decided to approach her. Like, wow, that's romantic and admirable. Okay, but if you don't offer context, it's very hard for her to relate. Or let's say you're at a wedding and there's some girl at one of the tables. You don't really know anybody at the party there, and you want to just go and talk to her there. Well, if you just crash their table and start talking to her, and just start hitting on her aggressively without accounting for the fact that she's with these other people who clearly can tell that you're hitting on this girl who don't know you, it's going to come off sketchy. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the girl. It's not going to let her know that you are, socially calibrated and in tune with what's going on. So what you got to do is you have to maybe make a joke about the fact that you're crashing, their table. Maybe be direct with her from the get-go. Maybe let her know sooner rather than later that you're hitting on her. Maybe not right away. Engage some of the other people in the group. This will normalize the interaction and not sketch her out. Same thing goes for age differences or differences in culture. If you're an older guy and you want to be hitting on younger girls, you have to account for the context and the relatability. So, you have to cater to your audience in some sense. So if you want to hit on younger girls, let's say you're in your mid-30s, late 30s, okay, and you want to be hitting on girls that are in their early 20s. Hitting on them, for example, on a college campus versus, or a college bar is going to be different than hitting on them at, some kind of a lounge where they go and dress up and there's a more mixed crowd. Like, first of all, they're in a different headspace. So if they're at a college bar and they're in this college group herd vibe, or if they're on campus versus if they're dressing up to go out at some kind of a lounge or a nightclub where there's, older guys there, they're in a different kind of headspace. They know that there's a possibility that older guys are going to be hitting on them. They want to feel more mature, act more mature. So the frame is going to be different if you're hitting on them in these different environments. If you want to, for example, hit on them, on college campus, then you might want to dress a little younger, a little edgier. You don't want to necessarily be a guy in his late 30s and be wearing a suit and hitting on girls on college campus, because it's going to pronounce or heighten that age difference in their minds, the fact that it's weird or outside the norm. And this, by the way, varies country to country. This is more pronounced in maybe North America or certain Western European countries versus maybe Eastern Europe or South America, where age differences are not as much of a taboo. Inherently, all younger girls are into older guys. But in some cultures, it has to feel more relatable. The context has to make it more all right in their eyes. So if you're going to dress in a way, if you're going to be in a context where that difference is more pronounced, then you're going to dress in a way that's going to be more pronounced, where she thinks, oh, wait, that guy's just so much older, and does he even get me? Is this appropriate? Are other people watching me talking to this guy who looks like he's 40 and he's in a suit? You see where I'm going with this? Not to mention, if age comes up, or the difference in age comes up, you really got to own that shit. You got to make light of it. You got to joke about it. You have to come off secure about it. If not, that's going to sketch her out even more. That's going to place more emphasis on something she's already, on some subconscious level, maybe concerned with. So you joke about the fact that maybe she's too young, or, oh, you're super mature for your age, or, yeah, I'm old enough for you to call me daddy, or, hey, don't worry, I'm not going to drop any references that any pop cultural references that you may not get. Okay, so the point is, it's like a very cool, no fucks given vibe. If you basically give off this vibe of like, okay, this guy's older, but he's cool. He's cool. He doesn't give a fuck. He gets that I'm younger. He doesn't care. He's not making a big deal out of it. So why should I? That's going to be her attitude. Conversely, you're just going to sketch her out. Similarly, if there's a difference in culture, more specifically, if you are an immigrant, kind of like I was, if you are an immigrant and you're trying to meet girls in North America or Western Europe, anywhere in the, Australia, anywhere in the first world, and you are from some developing nation, and, there is a difference, in culture, in language, in mindset, if you have a big accent, if you're, let's say you're in an English-speaking country, if your English if you don't have a strong command of the English language, it's not up to par, all of this is going to create a rift between you and the girl. It's going to make it a lot harder for you to connect with the girl. So you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of the fact that this is hindering your connection. And it can sometimes sketch girls out. Like, if you're this foreigner in their eyes, especially if it's from some kind of a country that doesn't have the same kind of branding as like Italy or Holland does. If you're some like suave Italian, good-looking Italian guy, talking to girls in North America, well, your branding, your country's branding is better, such that they're gonna look at you more favorably, as opposed to if you're like some Russian dude that they might think of as shady, or some African guy or some Asian guy. Like, every country that has its own poorer branding, or like those stereotypes where the girl feels more sketched out, like she feels like she can't relate as much. And that's going to, again, be heightened by the fact that you might have like a strong accent. And if your clothes, if your style is not cool, is not like, if you don't have like a clean look, if your clothing and grooming emphasizes that, and your accent emphasizes that, again, it's going to make it a lot harder for you to not only connect with the girl, but in some instances, you're going to sketch the girl out, because she immediately sees you as like some kind of a foreigner. Like, if you're some fucking fresh off the boat Russian dude wearing an Adidas tracksuit, rolling up to a girl being like, hey, what's up, pretty lady? You look nice. You want to go with me for a drink? Or you're like dressed as like some Mexican cholo being like, hey, mommy, do you want to get a burrito with me? Or go watch a dog fight? Like, you better believe she's gonna be sketched out. So it's very important for you to be aware of that and really work on that. So sometimes I tell my clients that fall into that category, you gotta really work on your English. You gotta really work on your accent, and you have to really work on bridging the gap between, you have to understand the popular culture and the mentality of this new country that you've immigrated to. Okay, so that you can connect with the girl over songs, over TV shows, over movies, over various events, over sports, over whatever it is. So you can kind of let her know, hey, you're in tune. And at the very least, this is very key, you have to make light of it, and you have to own it. Okay, you have to own it. Because otherwise, it's going to come off insecure and more sus. more sketch. So very key for you not to be oblivious to the fact that, hey, there's this big gap in the cultures, and you're just like oblivious to that and thinking that she's going to connect with you in the same way that, or it's going to be as easy for her to connect with you in the same way as it would be from a guy who grew up in that environment. And again, all these things that I'm talking about, accounting for context and relatability, all of this is going to be more pronounced if you have average or below average looks. Look, you're going to have to own it, but you're also going to have to make up for it. You cannot be completely delusional. To use a business analogy, if you don't have a lot of capital to get those endorsement deals and a fancy flagship store on Fifth Avenue, and to get famous IG models to or IG celebrities to vouch for your products, then you have to make up for it with a really good product, like really good quality, so you can get really good reviews. You have to look for other sales and marketing initiatives that are more affordable to really push that branding out there. You can't just sell some obscure clothing out of the back of your van in a parking lot and expect it to do as well as Nike or Dolce & Gabbana. When you're really good looking, I'm talking like top tier looking, you experience a certain kind of halo effect where you have society's permission, and part of it is also genetic, how we react to certain like symmetries and certain aesthetics in nature, but you have that permission, and there's a little bit more society's permission, there's more room for error that you can get away with. And hey, that's just the reality of life. So look, you deal with the cards that you're dealt and just account for the things that I've talked about, and you can really succeed. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, drop a comment below, let me know what you liked and any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms. Also subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you're notified when we put out new videos, and go check out the free and field bonus video, link in the description below or in the comment section. Also get on the Honest Chemistry VIP list. It's dropping like pronto. So go do that. Thanks again, and until next time.